Hey YouTube, it's Ember with The Big Fat Life. I wanted to do a little bit of a check-in and talk to you about stalling during your weight loss progress. We've all been there, we all go through that, and I want to tell you what I do to get through it. So, I weighed in this morning and I was very, very happy to see I am down to 227 pounds from my starting weight of 334 pounds. As you can see, I have lost 107 pounds in the last six and a half months. I was excited this morning to see that 227 because I have been stalled between 229 and 230 for like the last 2 weeks. And, you know, it's frustrating when you weigh in. Some people weigh in every day. Some people weigh in every 2 or 3 days. Some people weigh in once a month or once a week. It just depends on where you're at. But it's really frustrating when you're on track with your food and on track with your exercise, and you know that you've been doing everything you need to do, and you get on the scale and the motherfucker is just like, oh hi, I'm still the same weight I was a week ago or a month ago or a day ago or whatever. So that can be really discouraging when you know that you are working really hard and your scale is being an asshole. So I just want to basically say this. I have been that woman in my past because I've talked very openly about this. Y'all, I have yo-yo dieted my whole life. I have lost 20 pounds, gained 20 pounds, lost 20 pounds, gained 20 pounds. I've lost 60 pounds, gained 80 back. This is the first time though that I've lost over 100 pounds. It's the first time I've stayed with something this long, and this feels like a complete change to me. This is not, I'm on a diet and later we'll go eat a cheeseburger. This is just how it is for me the rest of my life. So I've been the girl though that has gotten plateaued and who I let that throw me into a tailspin because I got really discouraged, and I get discouraged really easily when it comes to my body, or used to. And so I just want to remind everyone, you are going to have plateaus. You're going to have stalls where the scale doesn't move. The important thing to remember is every single bite that you put in your mouth counts. Every step you take on the treadmill counts. Every day worth of clean eating counts. And the reason I say this is because it's real easy to tell ourselves, especially during a stall when the scale is not moving, that, oh, I'm not losing weight, so I might as well just fucking eat what I want anyway. And what will happen is that can sometimes, you'll eat a cheeseburger and fries and a milkshake, and that's 800 calories. And you'll sometimes put yourself into a mental tailspin with that. You'll sometimes be like, oh, fuck it, I've already fucked it all up. I fucked this day all up, so I might as well eat what I want. And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, I've been off track for 2 days. I might as well just blow this week out. And then the next thing you know, you've blown a month out, a year out, a decade out. You guys know how that works. If you've ever been a person who has struggled with your weight and has that type of space around feeling disappointed with yourself, then you know what I'm talking about. It's very easy to get into a spiral, just the mental incapacity because the scale's not moving. So what I have done, I broke my stall, and the way that I did that is I went back and I looked at my food journal, and I was like, okay, I have lost weight, even if it's just a half a pound or a couple of ounces. I've lost weight every single week for the last 6.5 months. And all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, WTF, right? So on the surface, I can tell myself, well, I'm walking and I'm eating right. What's wrong? But in here and in here, I'm like, okay, let's go back and examine what has really been going on around here. And because I religiously track my food with MyFitnessPal, and if you don't track your food, I suggest you start because it is really the best way to give yourself a picture of what you're doing. I went back to MyFitnessPal. I pulled up the last 2 weeks worth of food. And I am a person, I track every single bite that goes in my mouth. I track every drink of water. I track, if I squeeze lemon in my water, I track it. That helps me keep honest with myself. So I went back and looked at my food diary, and guess what? Guess what I've been doing the last 2 weeks that I haven't done? I have been consuming alcohol. My brother came home from his deployment to Africa, and we have celebrated with lots of, beer drinking and things like that. And I tracked my beer, and I was still, within my calories for the day. But, I did that, and then I went out for work. I went out after work one night with my coworkers, and we had martinis, and I tracked them and was within my weight. And then I had a glass of wine with dinner one night, and, I had alcohol within the last 2 weeks, probably, 4 or 5 times. To some people, that's a lot. To some people, that's not a lot. But for me, that's an enormous amount because I don't drink. I drink maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So I've had a lot of alcohol, and I'm like, wow, alcohol bloats you up. Alcohol makes you retain water because you get dehydrated, and then your body kind of, rushes to like repair the dehydration by retaining a lot of water. So I looked at my food, and I was like, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? After, discovering my alcohol issue. So then, God, alcohol issue, that sounds so bad. It's not an alcohol issue. It's my alcohol consumption over the last 2 weeks. So I looked at my food and I discovered I have been eating a lot of salty food. What does salt do? It bloats you up and makes you retain fucking water. Okay. Then I looked at my exercise and I'm like, okay, I'm getting, I wear my Fitbit, so I know that I'm walking. But I looked at my steps for the last 2 weeks, and my average steps per day went down by 2,000. So if you look at that by over the course of 2 weeks, that is 28,000 steps that I've lost, by not keeping up with my own average. So 28,000 steps is almost 3 days worth of walking, if you're doing a 10,000 day average. So you have to look at those factors. I haven't been sleeping as much. And I'm like, okay, we now have, I'm sorry, you guys, my Tourette's is really acting up and I need to stretch my neck. Okay. When you look at those things and you get a clear picture of, okay, I have got lack of sleep, alcohol, salty food, and being down on my exercise, you're able to say to yourself, okay, this is the reason for the stall. It's not because I'm not, on track. You're on plan. You can be on plan with alcohol, but just know that you're going to be indulging in alcohol and salty food and not as much walking, and you can do that, and you won't gain weight, but you won't lose weight, which is what has happened to me over the last 2 weeks. So basically, keep in mind that if you stall and you've been steadily losing weight, for the last several weeks, then that means you are doing something differently. Maybe it means you're not drinking as much water. Maybe you switched to diet soda from drinking water, which, by the way, will make you retain weight, retain water weight, and caffeine fucks your metabolism up. It just does. Go read an article. It's all over the internet. Look at yourself and get really honest with yourself. And you guys, that really is the hardest thing to do when you are on a weight loss journey, because many of us gain weight because we have an inability to be honest with ourselves. And I'm not saying for everyone. I'm saying I know a lot of people that have, and that's certainly true for me. You get in these patterns where you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I don't really eat that much. And then you're like steadily gobbling food, or you're like, I'm pretty active, but you're actually sedentary. And it's basically because we get used to hearing our own bullshit, and we actually start believing our own bullshit. And it's easier for us to say, I don't know why I'm not losing weight, or I don't know why I'm gaining, rather than going, wow, I really overeat. That's hard to admit. So at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be willing to take responsibility for what is happening with your body. That probably is a very unpopular stance to some people. I've seen weight loss shows on cable, and especially My 600 Pound Life. I love that fucking show. But, they had a lady on there at one point that had gastric bypass surgery, and she came in like a couple of months after surgery when most people that size would be losing enormous amounts of weight, and she was like gaining weight. And her doctor was like, this is not physically possible if you're eating what I'm telling you to eat. He's like, if you're moving and eating, it is not physically possible for you to gain weight. And this lady was like, no, I'm on plan. I promise you, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, blah, blah, blah. And, you're watching this, and her doctor says to her, well, then you're a medical miracle, because it's not mathematically possible for you to gain 10 pounds if you've got a calorie deficit and you've been walking. you know, that is a true thing to me. I'm a pretty scientific person. I think people that are able to read and comprehend how the body works would understand that. So basically be honest with yourself. And you know, allow yourself, if you're in a stall, allow yourself to be disappointed. Allow yourself that space and go, wow, this really fucking sucks. I'm totally stalled. I have certainly been disappointed. What I haven't done, though, is I haven't let that disappointment bring me into a space of I'm going to give up. Because you know what? I can't give up. It's not an option to give up. It's not healthy to let the first setback or the 10th setback stop you from getting to your goal. I mean, if someone told you that there was a pile of gold at the top of the mountain, and if you could just make it to that mountain, you know, to the top of it, all that gold would be yours. You know, the first time you tripped and fell on a rock, are you just going to be like, oh, fuck that gold, I'll just let somebody else have it because I'm not willing to hurt for it. I'm not willing to work for it. I'm not willing to be uncomfortable for it. No. At least me, the answer is, if I know that there's $1 million pile of gold at the top of the mountain, I'm fixing to bust my ass to get up there and get it because that gold is going to be mine. And I may be scraped and bruised and broken when I get up there, but when I get that gold, I will sit on my ass and slide all the way down that mountain and smile like a demon while I'm doing it because I'll know that I worked for that gold. I walked up that mountain, I took the scrapes and bumps, and I just persevered. And y'all, that's a very cheesy way to look at it, but I really do look at my weight loss journey as, you know, the reward at the end. You got to work for it, and the reward at the end is I'm going to be alive. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without holding the handrail. I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to give myself 10, 15, 20 extra years on this planet by doing this. And you know what? I'm fucking worth it. And you are too. So just remember, the first time you stumble a little bit, that's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's absolutely okay. And what matters is you recenter and go, okay, I just had a little bit of a binge, or I didn't walk yesterday, or, oh, I just ate, you know, I ate something I shouldn't have eaten, or I ate more than I should have. That's where you say to yourself, all right, this is what happened. I'm going to recover from that. I'm going to drink a glass of water. I'm going to move forward with positivity, and I'm going to do better next time. You know, and that's really what you can do, you know. Allow yourself that space. Allow yourself the space for disappointment, but also kick your own ass if you need to. Remind yourself that there is a pile of gold at the top of the mountain, and all you have to do is work to get it, okay? Work to get it. So anyway, that's all I have to say for now. I am hoping that all of you are enjoying your journey. I know many of you have kind of come along for the ride, and I know some of you are like kicking ass on this. Brenda Crozier is one. I've seen several people, you know, Diane. I've seen several people that have really like committed, you know, to their process, and they are inspiring. They're just like, no, I'm doing this. So, you know, commit to your process, basically. Let me know how you're doing. Upload a video and tell me what's working for you and what's not, and let's talk about it. So anyway, until next time, good luck to you and good life.